Joining me today, the great Tyron Woodley, the legendary former UFC welterweight champion, and now a celebrity judge on the PFL Challenger Series. Tell me about how this came about, and are you enjoying your role with PFL?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the role because PFL gets it. They understand that it's not just about fighting or if you can talk crap or if you can flip a tire or put on a nice suit. It's about, are you the real deal? Are you the full package? Do people care? Do they want to stop what they're doing on a Saturday and watch you fight? And can you do it consistently? Can you also do the same thing and win convincingly and win in a dominant fashion where people are not mesmerized, but people are invested into watching your growth. Because a lot of the PFL fighters, um, minus some of the people that are veterans in other large organizations, they're making their stamp. So at this level of making your stamp and being able to touch $1 million potentially is unheard of in any organization. I feel like it's setting the standard and the base for what fighters should be making and getting paid, and also the way that they should be treated. So, from my standpoint, as a celebrity judge, um, for me being an up and coming fighter, I've been there. For me being a champion, I've been there. Also an entertainer, as far as music and television, podcasts, reality shows, movies. I get kind of each cloth or how you have to wear it differently. But more importantly, from a talent standpoint, I've always identified that guy's talented. Michael Chandler, he's talented. This guy, Frank Yeager, he's talented. And I'm not saying that I did anything to make people successful. They did it themselves, but I've always been able to identify talent. So when you think about all those different hats to be a celebrity panelist makes sense. And also, I've had some of the biggest fights in the last 2 years as far as like media,
Yeah.
a lot of build up behind it. So um, I'm not going to say they catered this position and role to somebody like me, but I feel like I sit in that seat very well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you were talking to Ariel the other day, and you were saying that you've watched this Challenger Series, and it makes you think like, these young guns are pretty tough. Like, there's a lot of guys who you probably wouldn't fancy getting in the cage with yourself.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Like that's one thing that people always they want to just be tough and they want to just say stuff that they don't really mean and believe. It's a couple guys that right now I seen in the Challenger Series that will give me hell on wheels, and I'm gonna just be honest and real. I'm not gonna say they're gonna beat me, but I'm not gonna say that they couldn't either. If they catch me slipping or they catch me not motivated, I would have to be extremely dedicated and motivated to fight some of these guys because they're really understanding and they're embodying what it means to get ready to fight for the chance to make it to. This is like the chance of a chance to a chance, right?
Mm.
Like before, we seen reality shows where people get a chance to get a contract, and now you're getting a chance to get a contract, and if you get a contract and you make this tournament, you already know what the pay is.
Yeah.
It's already defined. If you win this, you get that. There's no secrets. Um, no other organization can really say that. It's all negotiable. It's all who you are. It's all what you do. It's all what your management. It's all what you bring to the table. It doesn't matter if you got two followers. You win that tournament, you walking away with $1 million bag. So I feel like people don't understand what $1 million can do. I'm sorry about that lighting. A million dollars can do and how it can change your life. I do. I fought fights for 7 figures. Now I understand you're in a completely different predicament once you walk out of the cage ring or whatever the hell you do. And I think these young fighters, man, they'll knock you. I just remember when I was a young fighter, I'll bite your damn head off for $1 million contract, and I feel that same energy.
You must have, looking back on your career, you must think, gosh, it would have been nice during some of those times if I had a league format where they just forced guys to fight me.
I would have liked to have fought as often as they get an opportunity to fight when I was younger. But I do believe what God has for me is for me. My path was my path, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Even the ups and downs, the lessons, and everything in between, it molded me. But now this is their path, and I support their mission. I support what they're doing. I support I support all everything that comes with it because at the end of the day, when you look and you really think about it, like we may never see a structure like this again.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's going to blow up from it. Somebody's going to blow up from this process. And when they do, and if they do, they now have made it worth it. Like somebody got to make it worth it for the PFL to do it. If it makes sense, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just keep having a tournament for $1 million and one person don't break out and make it worth it for them to continue. So that's what I feel. They're banking on that, and having people like myself, Ray Lewis, Vitor Belfort, Randy Couture, Wiz Khalifa, Ty Gurley, all these different people, we've obviously in our life found that, and we found a way to monetize it. And I feel like these younger fighters, you know what I mean, they should really think about it from that standpoint and try to enhance their career from it.
When it comes to your career, I saw you were just saying you could just come back from the Middle East this second. I heard you were out at. I saw a video of you at Tam Khan's gym. Is the
Mm-hmm.
door shut on MMA for you, or are you going to fight in the cage again? Do you think?
I'm definitely fighting in the cage again. That's half the reason why I was over there. So definitely fighting MMA. I just took some time because I wanted to take some time to get back in MMA. MMA is like it's a full-time job. You can't half-ass MMA and expect to be victorious. I'm not saying you can do it with boxing, but it is one martial art versus 15 martial arts all into one. And for me, I like to give my all. I like to give my all when I'm doing something, especially when it's the sport that I started in. And yeah, so you'll see me fight mixed martial arts this year for sure.
And boxing as well. I think I understand that there are a lot of major money offers for you still in the boxing ring.
Man, I'm thankful and I'm blessed. I was just talking to my bosses. You saw.
Yeah,
Um, Shout out to my guy George. George Greenberg is one of my favorite people, not just bosses. And there's not very many people that has a boss that they just love and they just love to see them when they walk past and they love their mind and vision. And he gives me the freedom to be me, and he wants me to be me. And he just so happened to work out really well for the way they set the show up. So shout out to George. I appreciate him. I love him. He is a visionary. He's a hardworking man, and he's a good man. So I was just telling him that I'm out here touching bread, man. That's my whole saying. Anybody else say it, they're stealing my stuff. I'm out here touching bread, and I've been blessed to get a lot of opportunities to do a lot of special things. And my head is spinning. I just came back from the Middle East, and just there's so much more to life and sport than we know when we just live in our box. And I'm just grateful and thankful that I got a chance to step out and see that.
you didn't think of sticking around for Jake's fight next weekend?
I wanted to, but I had to work. So
Right.
I talked to Jake. I talked to him yesterday or the day before. I was gonna stay out there because I was so close to Saudi. When he got to Saudi, I was in Bahrain, and I was about to drive up there to where he was at, but he was kind of far. And then I wanted to stay out there and watch it, but I got work to do.
I spoke to Tommy the other day and I asked him about this potential fight that was discussed for November. It was never really seriously discussed, right? Like I think he was never
He's a
really about
liar.
it. And
He wasn't. He didn't want to fight it, but the
yeah.
fight was the same exact card that Floyd Mayweather fought on because Floyd wanted me on the card.
Mhm.
So Floyd wanted me on the card, and then they were trying to leverage me fighting Tommy off Floyd being on the card, and wanted me. They wanted to pay me less than what I was worth, and they wanted to do so because they said Floyd's on the card, the pay-per-view is going to be better, and then they were trying to show me the structure on why I should take less money. I said hell no. And then it went to the point where somebody came to me and said, Tyron, you took a couple lessons recently. Why don't you go out there and just put on the show against Tommy? And then from that point, the next fight built up to where you make the money that you're supposed to make. And I had to sit back and I had to, take a little slice of humble pie. And I said, you know what? Let me do that. So I called him back and I agreed to the terms. So that tells you that he just didn't want to fight. I'm really surprised he's fighting Jake because I didn't think he was going to show up to
Hey,
fight
hey,
that
there's still
fight.
9 days left. You never know.
I mean, this is the thing about Tommy.
I mean, you think he's
Do
actually
you
going to
want
show
to
up to a
fight or
press
not?
conference, a weigh-in, make a
Do you want
walk?
to fight or not? Like, I think he a pretty boy that just wanted. He was boxing to look good and did it professionally, and he doesn't want to be in the shot. His brother is an absolute goon. His brother is a freaking people's champion. People love him. Like even Jake's, you know what I mean, got a
Yeah,
little banter with his brother. Like Tyson is one of my favorite boxers right now because he's really him and he's just having fun and he just seems so pure and so genuine. And his brother, I think, he's just trying to be tough, but he's like a pretty boy that's trying to be tough that's not really tough. So it's like pick one.
and what he said to me was that old chestnut the KSI uses as well. You know what I'm going to say, right? About Jake's leftovers, this sort of nonsense. That was
No,
his sort of excuse.
that's the way of him getting out of the fight. I gotta offer to fight Tommy on that card. If I'm such a whack fighter and I'm so easy, I wish somebody would have gave me easy fights in the UFC. If you're gonna pay me a bag to fight a Trump, I'm gonna smash it. So
Yeah,
that's stupid. It's like you're telling me you're gonna fight two guys in one night that nobody even knows instead of
yeah.
fighting me. KSI had a chance to fight me before this last fight. He had a chance to fight me when it was a replacement of a fighter, and then it was 2 or 3 weeks notice, and they asked me to fight him. I said, "Yeah, I'm sure I'll fight him." And then he decided to fight two people instead of fighting me. And then he sent me a 7-figure contract to fight him. Now, don't play with my fucking family and my money. Like I'm preparing, and you tell me I got to fight, and I'm negotiating the fight, and I agree to all the dumb terms, and then we get the contract, and I'm waiting on you to put ink on it, and then something tells me to pull up to Dubai. I
Hmm.
pulled up myself. Nobody paid for my flight. I paid for my own flight. 4 o'clock on Friday, and I was there that night at 10 p.m. So something told me there was going to be some goofy stuff going on. But I'm glad I went out there because by going out there, I made some business connections and I started finding ways to put the ball in my own court. Not have to deal with all these flaky fighters that like the one thing I would say about Jake is Jake will fight people.
Hmm.
Mike Perry is a tougher fighter than Tommy. It's a way worse matchup than Tommy. His backup plan is a tougher fight than the original plan.
Yeah,
The same way when he fought me,
yeah, for
I'm a
sure.
tougher fight than fighter. I mean, I'm a tougher fighter than Tommy. I never seen Tommy put a mallet on somebody that knocked him down and made everybody like, oh, I never seen none of that, right? So at the
Mhm.
end of the day, he will fight. He's kind of crazy, but he will fight Anderson Silva. After Anderson Silva beat Chavez Jr., he will fight me. He will fight Askren, who never got knocked out by anybody ever. Robbie Lawler could knock out Askren. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, be who you really are. If you're a fighter like KSI, who has a lot of subscriptions, you made a lane for yourself, and he's doing great in all these other realms of entertainment. He did all this stuff before. That's why he got all those followers. But don't act like you're a fighter and fight anybody anytime because you're lying. You're gonna get exposed, and he did get exposed. Same thing with Tommy. Don't act tough when you're not tough. Be a pretty boy that just so happen to like to fight. Make that your brand. Because when you try to be what we are, which is real fighters, and you don't want to fight, and you ask to fight me, I didn't never speak about KSI. I didn't even know his damn JJ. I didn't know his damn name
Yeah.
until he kept talking about me for 2 years on Instagram, Twitter, and then after that, he offered me a fight. His manager, Mams, called my lawyer, and they offered me a fight, and I said, "Yeah, how you gonna talk about me? Offer me a fight? Send me a contract?" I say yes to the most ridiculous rehydration terms on earth. And then you don't even tell me we're not fighting anymore. I find out on the internet. That's
By the way,
why.
was there any sort of rehydration thing in either of the Jake contracts?
Not for me. I think KSI took that rehydration clause from one of Jake's fighters that was supposed
Right.
to fight him.
Because
It's
that's
basically saying they don't want you to blow up the next day. So they want you to weigh. They wanted me to weigh in at 175 and wanted me to come back the next day at 185. That's still cutting weight. I weigh 200. Why would I come in at 185?
what did you
Like
come in when you fought
I'm
Jake both times?
187 homicide every
Right,
time.
right.
I walk in the ringer cage 187. But I said, cool. I'll come in at 185. You really gonna get your ass beat now if you want to just sit here and do these stupid little here's and there's. But yeah,
Well,
I don't know how we got on this.
I asked because you had a famous sort of in your time in the UFC, you had famously like fallings out with Dana White and issues with him. And I know that one of the tactics that Dana loves to use is he'll offer like you as the UFC champion, I'll give you 100 and 100 to fight some killer. And then when you say no, he'll say, "Oh well, he didn't want the fight." Right? Like that's like the old Dana chestnut. Surely when you look at a contract like the one that was offered to you for that fight, knowing what you know about the fight game, you would have thought, "Oh well, this isn't like a serious offer."
You mean to fight Tommy?
Well, no, the KSI one. Like, surely you would have looked at like the hydration clause, the weight, the everything. You would have thought, "Oh well, this
No,
is like a
they
contract to make
added
it look
that.
like I said no."
No. I had a real contract. No, not
No,
like
what I'm saying is that was the terms are so crazy that you must have known these
no, it
people were never
wasn't
serious about
crazy.
fighting you.
No. We agreed upon the terms before the contract was signed.
Right, right.
We agreed upon a weight, which is not even a weight class, by the way. It's just one weight. We agreed upon a specific on the dot weight. I couldn't be 1 pound over or 1 pound under. 1 pound under, I've been out of cruiserweight. 1 pound over, I would have been ineligible according to their misfit terms. 175 on the dot. Couldn't weigh 174 because I wouldn't be eligible to fight cruiserweight. 175 is the lowest. And 176, I would be deemed overweight. So I had to come in right on the dot. Then they didn't want me to weigh more than 185 as I was driving to the arena to go and fight. They added that on after I agreed upon the original terms of 175. So when I get the contract, he was like, "Oh man, I know you're gonna be mad, but his trainers want to add this in there." I'm like, "Well, you guys want to add stuff in? That means the contract's up for negotiation. Then that's how it works. You want to add something, you got to give up something. We agreed upon this. This is
Yeah.
what we agreed upon money. We agreed upon this. We agreed upon rematch clause. We agreed upon all this other stuff. So now you want to add stuff, you got to be willing to negotiate." So he just didn't want to fight.
Is that you
And
done with
then
the
what?
YouTuber crowd now?
No, I mean, they get me excited. I don't know why. I want to beat them up, but I think Dylan Dennis was supposed to fight Logan Paul, and Logan Paul messes MCL up in that
Yeah.
WWE fight in Saudi Arabia. So KSI took that as an opportunity to take a lesser opponent for the same
Yeah.
money. Just be real. Say what really happened. You got to fight a lesser of opponent that hadn't fought in 3 or 4 years, and is a jiu-jitsu guy that's only fought twice in his life ever. You got a chance to fight him for the same money. That's smart. Just say you took the smart option. Don't make it seem like all this other stuff.
You know, Mams and I were talking one time, Mams Taylor, and he said to me, he asked me, "Who's a tougher fight for JJ, Tommy or Joe Fournier?" And I said, "You know who's tougher than both of them?" And it was yourself.
Of course, he brought the fight to me a long time ago before I even fought Jake. He asked me about fighting him, and then he told me himself that he didn't like the fight for KSI. He said he thinks the fight is a bad fight for him. He said, "I'm a real fighter. I got real power. They don't have nobody to get ready for me to train me. They don't want to fight me last minute. They want a long camp. They want a long time to fight me." This was months and months and months, almost about a year or two. Why do you keep talking about fighting me then? Now,
Mm.
I've sat down with them. I met him in LA. I actually liked Mams a little bit, but I really didn't respect the way that they made that move. It's a simple phone call. "Hey, man, you're a tougher opponent than Dylan Dennis. We're going to make the same money. I'm going to go with this fight. I know you're not happy about it. Da, da, da. I never got that phone call. So I'm not saying I don't respect Mams. I do, but I didn't respect that one move from either one of those guys. It's kind of a little whole move.
So who do you think you will fight next? And will it be MMA or boxing, do you think?
I don't know yet. I'm figuring out. I got something up my sleeve though. Ooh, I got some internet breaking stuff.
For sure, for sure. And any
I
more music?
if I yeah, I got some music stuff going on too. I'm tying my music stuff into sync right now, so I got a lot of sync stuff that I'm working on, and I'm rapping. I got a comeback season EP. I got an EP entitled something I can't really say because I'm coining that phrase. But I got two EPs in a cut right now, and I'm recording more for sync TV reality. That's where the real money's at. So yeah, for sure. But I got a fight that if this fight goes through, it will be the biggest fight of the last 10 years probably.
For sure. Look, Tyron, I thank you so much for your time. I did want to quickly ask about, in terms of the music. You had that famous, you had one famous song that leaked. And it wasn't quite ready yet. You know the one I'm talking about, the falling
I got you know what
in.
I never put that song out. I got the finished version of the song. I was gonna put it out when I fought Kobe Covington. I had an animated video for it, and the guy kind of robbed me. Like I paid him like $6,000 up front to animate the video. I was like the first artist that would have had like a real true 3D video. I got like small clips of it. I can send it to you, but I
What's the
never
story
sent it
behind that
out.
song? Like, what? How did that get out there in the form that it did?
Well, basically, I was in Thailand and I had a studio set up in Thailand. And when people listen to your raw vocals, if you listen to any artist's raw vocals that's utilizing auto tunes, you got to freak your voice specifically for that. It's actually an art to do
Mhm.
that. I know we thought T Pain was dead and auto tune is not going anywhere because
Yeah,
it's actually an art to do it. It's very hard. So when you hear the vocals, the raw vocals, you're hearing what I'm saying, but I'm hearing in my headphones with effects and auto tunes
yeah.
and reverb and different things. It was specifically for something else. So I actually finished that song and it actually slaps. I had Matt Serra on it because he was one of the one that gave love to it. I did a whole animation behind it, and they never finished the animation. I was kind of bummed about it because they kind of robbed me. I'm glad you brought that up because I need to go collect my money or kick some ass.
So we could
But
get the
yeah,
full studio version of that song in the future.
no, I got it. I got it in my phone.
But it could come out to the public. You could that could be
I
another
don't.
great comeback for you. You win your
I don't,
next
I
fight.
don't, I don't, I
The
don't
song
know.
comes out.
I don't know if it's like at the time I was doing it because I was fighting Kobe Covington, and I was expecting. You know, I kind of you got to play chess. I was expecting him to bring it up,
Hmm.
right? So I had this fire ass video concept that I was doing, right? An animated concept, hilarious by the way. And it was going to be the song. So when he did that, I was supposed to drop it the day after the weigh-ins of fighting Kobe Covington. The guy never put it through. Really dropped the ball, made all these excuses, and still to this day I haven't heard from him. I haven't gotten the complete project and or my money back.
You're gonna fight again, which is great. Ben Askren will never fight again, I would think. And as a fan of the sport, it irritates me that because he lost a couple towards the end, particularly the one to Jake and the one to Jorge, Pete, like you're gonna have a chance to redeem things and get a big knockout win and end on your terms. But does it upset you that people disrespect Ben as much as they do?
No, I think you got to take the narrative. Like I was thinking about this other day. I could be in the same boat if I walked away right now.
Sure.
But what you've done in your career solidifies who you are. Um, sometimes maybe we extend our career longer. Maybe it was already over with, and we took a couple extra fights, or maybe the love for it wasn't there. Maybe the politics or the finances didn't really pull us over. But I think you got to consistently remind people what you stood for. Remind people when you did it and how you did it. How fast I got to the title. How I defended 4 defenses in 1 year. Nobody ever did that besides me and John Jones. Two
Yeah.
people in the history of the sport. Who you beat, when you beat them. Robbie Lawler was off the back-to-back fighter of the year.
Yeah.
Boogeyman performances against Carlos Condit and Roy McDonald. He didn't land one strike. Um, Darren Till was the gorilla that
He was the
everybody
next
thought was the
Conor
next
McGregor. He was the
Conor,
guy.
the
Yeah.
next Conor McGregor. Sold out the U2 Arena. He was bigger than me. He was taller than me. He was more powerful than me. He was more focused than me. I was all in Hollywood. He also didn't land a punch. Damian Maya had taken everybody down, last 12 opponents, finished the last 7 guys, submitted everybody, be Masvidal, the list goes on and on. He couldn't take me down one time, and I tore my whole labrum in the first punch. Wonder Boy, the same thing. You seen this fight against Kevin Holland?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You seen this fight against um, Anthony Pettis before Anthony Pettis knocked him out. You seen the fight
Yeah,
when he fought Jorge Masvidal. You seen the fight when he fought Luque. But when I fought him, I solved their Rubik's cube,
twice.
and I'm never going to get the credit that I deserve. But think about it. Why do I care?
Hmm.
I deserve what I got. I deserve an opportunity to fight the best in the world. I deserve to be trained by the best coaches in the world. I deserve to have my family see me fight in tough opponents with so many fucking things behind the stage, behind the scenes that nobody knows about, negotiation that nobody knows about, politics that nobody knows about. On top of all those obstacles, I went out there and I showed up and I did my thing. That's what I really deserve. I never really got into it to be famous and for everybody to worship me. If people like you and they congratulate you and they support you, that's a plus. But I got into it to be the best. And I lost focus on that a couple of times of what the original mission was. But looking back, man, I had a crazy journey. I had a crazy road, and I think Ben should document that, like I'm going to document mine. And that's your legacy. It's not what you. It's not the lessons you learned. It's not the everybody. How many people I knock out can go back and say, "Damn, I wish I would lift my hand up." You don't think Robbie wish he would have not reacted to that fake? You don't
Yeah.
think Darren Till would have not came in so crazy and got cracked with that right hand and elbow to oblivion? You don't think Wonder Boy would have, you know what I mean, not throwing that kick that I caught and got hit and got smashed? Everybody can go back and be like, damn, I wish I wouldn't have. So I can't really be mad. I gotta just be thoughtful and grateful and just make the most out of everything I got coming up. Be really focused on going in and just remember the mission. Don't get caught off. Don't get taken off the mission. Pretty much.
Thank you so much. Finally, Jake Paul and Tommy prediction. What do you think?
I think Jake's gonna knock out Tommy. Unfortunately, I mean, his fights before, with the exception to Nate, were tougher than Tommy. This is like, I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but it's
Mhm.
like this is the second Nate. If you compare all the opponents, I'm not gonna say anybody's easy because that's anybody that trains and get ready to fight and goes in there, give them their credit. But when you're looking at the toughest opponents, like toughest ones,
Mhm.
they're behind him.
Yeah.
The only fighter that I think Tommy is tougher than is Nate.